Welcome back to Talk Show, everyone. The show where we connect the dots so you don't have to, but I'll admit these days the dots have fallen into a fairly predictable pattern. Gosh, I am so sorry that you missed me for a minute. I took some time off. I was visiting my nephew in the Walthamstow area of London. What a fun place. What a fun thing to say, Walthamstow. Just a friendly reminder as to what my t-shirt says. Make Nazi afraid again. So yeah, I was visiting London, had an absolutely fantastic time. Huge shout out to the restaurant Cole, K-O-L, Chef Santiago. What a masterful meal that was. And my new favorite Italian Wonder Woman, Chef Haley, aka the pasta slut. Little secret for y'all, I'm also a pasta slut. And speaking of international travel, as I flew back from Heathrow to Dulles, which is the Washington, D.C. International Airport, I shit you not, Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, was on my freaking flight. Also, they separated the entrances to the plane as we were boarding, first class in the front of the plane actually went in a separate entrance on the plane breezeway, on the jetway or whatever that's called. And the rest of us commoners in economy plus and further back in the nosebleeds, we had to go in a separate door so that we couldn't cast aspersions or set our peon-like gaze upon the magnificent Scott Bessent. Yeah, so it was totally surreal as he walks past me, to board before everybody else. Didn't click. I didn't even get a chance to yell a nice hearty fuck off, which I would have loved to. I was thinking about it the other day. I've been trying to place what is it about Scott Bessent's face that makes him instantly annoying and almost immediately untrustworthy? I couldn't place it for the longest time, but I think I figured it out. So here he is, and let's get a little side by side. Yeah. So yeah, he just kind of looks like SpongeBob SquarePants. Hallowed be his name. I'm sorry to take the SquarePants name in vain. Listen to these rhymes. But if that side by side doesn't do it for you, I have no idea what will. So here we are. We're back for another episode of Talk Show. Let's get down to business, because in the past 2 weeks alone, the U.S. has flirted with a shutdown, got global conflicts escalating, and even the weather has decided to turn hostile. Okie doke, segment number 1, let's talk about Davos, the economic summit where CEOs fly in from all across the world. I gotta mention this because, as I said, I was traveling to the UK during the same time period about 2 weeks ago. All the world's CEOs and the fanciest of pantses are doing this thing while the rest of us are stuck, fighting fascism. And normally I would try to bypass Mango King madness, especially when it comes to on the world stage. There's occasionally a bit of catharsis. There's occasionally a little bit of satisfaction when he looks like an idiot in front of everyone, including the entire world. So what am I talking about specifically? Well, Trump on stage essentially hallucinated that he made other countries raise their drug prices. This is after he's told Americans he was going to lower drug prices to be the lowest in the whole wide world. So which is it? Because clearly, if you have any reason, any capacity to think, you'd catch that him forcing other countries to raise their drug prices, which then become the new lowest drug price, thereby in effect raise the fucking drug prices. Come on with this absolute nonsense. Other highlights include deranged comments about NATO calling him daddy, and this nonsense continued for almost 2 hours. They let this dementia-riddled madman speak for almost 2 hours. Wild. Anyway, so yeah, our jerk president made us look like jerks on the world stage. Jerktacular. Jerkalicious. Jerk-publican is what you want to be. God, I just hate it so much. Continuing on the stream of things that I hate more than anything, let's talk about ICE, immigration enforcement, and the protests in Minnesota. Unavoidable. At this point, I think you've heard the stories, probably seen some footage. Quick summary, federal immigration enforcement has surged in many a U.S. city, but specifically Minneapolis is where huge protests have erupted. It's all over civil rights concerns and, shooting of Americans. Demonstrators basically say that the scale and the intensity of federal actions have crossed a line. A federal judge was not convinced and refused to block enforcement operations, which sucks. So that means the tensions remain high, the trust stays low, and nobody's walking away calm. Everyone's mad. And we all saw what happened with Renee Good. We all saw it. And now we've all seen what happened with Alex Pretty from so many angles, and the pushback is so strong that even Fox News has had to backpedal a bit and change their narrative. Layer onto that onion that Trump has now said that he shouldn't have had a gun. Oh boy. I called this not too long ago, but they will come for your guns, MAGA. Does the name Rittenhouse ring a bell? In our next segment, let's talk a little bit about the shutdown, which is now imminent. And anytime I hear the phrase government shutdown, I just go, oh, for God's sake, another shutdown, another shutdown. We did this already, right? So Washington has done the thing where it waits until the last possible second and then doesn't do anything. Here we are again. Congress failed to pass a funding bill on time, pushing the U.S. toward another partial shutdown. Not a full shutdown, but, half a shutdown anyway. Leaders basically openly admitting that it's going to happen because that's how the system works. So federal workers, contractors, anybody who relies on government services, you're stuck playing good old fiscal roulette. Oh boy. At least the funding for the DHS nonsense has been pushed off to the side. They're trying to get DHS like $800 billion, which makes it better funded than like everything else combined. This timeline is insane. Next segment, let's talk about the Kennedy Center shakeup. And as someone who self-identifies as an artist, in the arts news, this one is kind of quick. A senior official at the Kennedy Center resigned less than 2 weeks after being hired. Now the departure followed leadership changes. It's all tied to the current administration. This has sparked backlash from many an artist. So we're talking about very short tenure, slightly longer controversy. And I took some time to look up how many cancellations there's been at the Kennedy Center. That list is getting quite spicy. There were over 24 since the first Trump term, and I imagine that list is only going to increase. And in related news, oh my gosh, this felt super satisfying because I cannot wrap my head around this in the first place. But Nicki Minaj, not super relevant in the world of pop anymore, but boy is she trying. Nicki Minaj accepted a gold card from Trump, continuing to make an absolute mockery of her fan base. She went on stage and she said that she loved Trump. She really fawned over him. It was kind of gross. But in an epic moment of justice pornography, the White House released an official statement saying that the card they gave her is commemorative. Holy shit. They played her like an immigrant fiddle. Not that this is nice or fun or any of this makes any sense. Gold cards for millions of dollars to speedrun citizenship in the United States. It's all corrupt. It's all incredibly corrupt. But when someone does something real stupid, alienating a whole fan base and, years of hard work in her career, you just can't help but admire the train wreck as it unfolds in real time. In our next segment, let's talk a little bit about the weather. The big bad polar vortex has returned. I am in Connecticut. We've had some incredibly cold weather for the past week and a half. Big snow not long ago as well. All of a sudden, overnight, over a foot and a half. Some places had almost 2 feet of snow. Very nice if you're a skier, right? That's, gosh, I love a good ski. But here's the thing. Meteorologists basically confirmed sudden stratospheric warming event, which destabilizes the polar vortex, and that causes the Arctic air to come down south. Basically, winter just said, oh, we're just getting started. What that means is that US, Canada, parts of Europe are going to see renewed extreme cold over the coming weeks. And in related news, I had a spectacular crash when I was skiing a couple of days ago, trying to do jumps like the youngsters. My ski caught. I did an unexpected sort of a half split, and the inner thigh of my right leg is wondering if I'm serious. Too bad, leg. Get with the program. And the program is jumps until we can achieve the elusive, mythical stees. In our next bit, let's do a quick world tour because, unfortunately, nothing cooled off internationally. In Gaza, Israeli airstrikes continue amid stalled diplomacy and mounting civilian tolls. Apparently, the U.S. government just sidestepped all the rules and sent another gigantic aid package to Israel. Great! Good job, Congress. In Ukraine, Russian drone attacks continue to target infrastructure, and that's worsening winter power outages. My heart goes out to Ukraine. This is all nonsense. I'm so sorry. Putin, get fucked. Africa, South Asia, there's armed violence and, insurgent clashes are flaring all throughout places like Niger, Ethiopia, and Pakistan. Same conflicts, higher stakes, less patience. It's not great. In the last bit of our show today, I wanted to do something a little bit special, right? I took some time off. Perhaps you've missed me. Perhaps not even a little bit, which is totally fair. I've been trying to come up with a good metaphor, some sort of euphemism for what's happening in the US. Today, I'd like to introduce to you a new character, a little someone I like to call Nonsense Pony. And here Nonsense Pony is, in all her sweet, magnificent cuteness, slightly unhinged though. You may notice the crazy eye. That's a feature. That's not a bug. Now, here's the thing. Sweet, adorable, slightly manic Nonsense Pony has several special characteristics. NP here is immortal. She can't be killed because, of course, she is a metaphor and she's not real. So unfortunately, what that means is you can just beat the ever-loving bejesus out of her and she will be just fine. Kind of like this. So yeah, you can really just smack the crap out of her, and because she's not real and a metaphor, she will continue to survive. Now, Nonsense Pony, we just love her. She's incredibly well-fed all the time, and what that means is at any moment, she may just throw up everywhere. Kind of like this. That's right. I'm sure it looks adorable, but here's the thing. Nonsense Pony's vomit reveals whether or not you can critically think. It's sticky, it kind of clings, it gets on you, and it makes you stupid unless you can think for yourself. That's right. If you're capable of rational, coherent thought, you are completely immune to Nonsense Pony's distracting, stupefying vomit. How unusual. Why have I gone so far as to create this metaphor? Well, here's the thing. You probably heard about the latest release of the Epstein files, right? Right. You probably saw some of the names that have been revealed in the last wave, right? Right. John Roberts, pretty familiar sounding. There's weird shit like Bill Gates attempting to prevent his wife from getting the STD he contracted on Epstein's island by secretly administering some kind of treatment. It's all just as depraved as one might suspect. When the Epstein files rear their ugly head, and we should just call them the Trump files with a sprinkle of Epstein thrown in there. So naturally, anytime the Epstein files come up, Trump and the Goon Squad are ready to bring out sweet, innocent little Nonsense Pony, once again kept very well fed, and just ready to launch its magical, distracting vomit. And better yet, with the power of AI, we can visualize what that might look like. There you go. So here's an example of Nonsense Pony spraying its distracting nonsense vomit all over MAGA. Pretty interesting, right? Here's another angle. I like this one too because it comes in from the right side, and that's the same angle that Nonsense Pony was about to barf before. Here's a reminder of the Nonsense Pony's barfing angle. See, this is why we've been cooking the planet. It's all been worthwhile so that we could use the AI to create bullshit like this. Thanks, Sam Altman. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. So here we are again, folks. More Trump files with a splash of Epstein. Enough to make any reasonable person's stomach do somersaults. How much more are we going to take? The tragic deaths of Alex Pretty and Renee Good triggered renewed waves of protest everywhere. Not just in Minnesota, not just against ICE, but against the administration all across the country, in red-blooded Texas, in blue-blooded New York City. All these protests, all this stuff reminding the evil fools in charge that we don't like what they're trying to do. So what does that mean? It means keep the pressure on. Participate when you can. Use your wallet as a weapon. Look out for maybe the next general strike if you can make that happen. Stay smart, stay safe, build community locally. Because ultimately, they're going to trot Nonsense Pony back out in front of all of us to throw up all over America and Fox News, which is the nonsense distribution center. And it's up to us to call it for what it is. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in a couple of days.